ladies and gentlemen. This is Jeff Rains coming to you again with Foundation of Civilization. This is my kind of midweek. I like to do a video during the midweek and cover some of the topics that are going on right now. And I believe one of the top topics is circles around the Epstein story. Um, I'm sure some of you know a lot of about it, some of the details maybe. There are some other things that I want to bring up that some other stories that I'm catching on the periphery. And the reason why I want to discuss this one is because if we want to solve the problems of our nation and our society, we need to get to the bottom of this story and ensure that those who are behind it are prosecuted. Epstein is not the bottom of the story. Now, just a little background for you. Jeffrey Epstein was a money manager. In 1976, he joined Bear Stearns as a low-level junior assistant to the floor trader. He swiftly moved up to become an options trader, working in the special products division, and then advised the bank's wealthiest clients, uh, well, on investing. Finally, in 1981, he was alleged to have violated a Regulation D violation. There were no details on exactly what happened, but he was asked to leave, according to sworn testimony. Then he started his own firm in August 1981 called Intercontinental Assets Group, which assisted clients in recovering stolen money from fraudulent brokers and lawyers, which is actually kind of interesting. Mr. Epstein, described his work at this time as being a high-level bounty hunter. He also, during this time, he stated that to some people that he was an intelligence agent. So, early 80s, he's allegedly starting his intelligence work. Now, over the years, he met a number of people and he started recording them, and at around this time, he is alleged to have started trafficking children with these people. In an earlier video, I noted exactly what that means. And uh, the mafia in the early 1900s would get compromising photos and videos of people of business and political figures that were out with somebody that they weren't married to, and they would use it as leverage. Well, and our intelligence agencies took that a step further and got compromising photos and videos of people that were engaged in illicit sex, and they're engaged in sex acts with minors, so they were pedophiles. Apparently, Jeffrey Epstein was made a business out of this. Now, I also want to note that there's a lot of rumors that swirl around, and I've always questioned who was behind all of this. It just didn't seem like Epstein was really the guy. And if we look through the associations, it's much more likely that Epstein worked for Ghislaine Maxwell, his longtime girlfriend, and she was the one directing the who, what, where, why, and how. And he went along and he ended up with billions of dollars under his management and in his control. Finally, this. Oh, and I also should note that Ghislaine Maxwell's father worked for Mossad, the Israeli intelligence agency, that's actually well documented. Finally, this scandal came to a head in March 2005. Uh, Police in Palm Beach, Florida, began investigating Epstein when the family of a 14-year-old girl claims that she was molested at his mansion. Many other underage girls, a lot of them were high school students, would later tell police that Epstein hired them to give sexual massages, in his words, or in their words. This all went through and ended up in him being prosecuted. And ultimately, in June 2008, Epstein pled guilty to state charges, one count of solicitation of prostitution and one count of solicitation of prostitution from someone under 18 years of age. He was sentenced to 18 months in jail, and under a secret arrangement, the U.S. Attorney's Office agreed not to prosecute Epstein for federal crimes, and he was allowed to serve his sentence in a work release program that allowed him to leave jail during the day to go to his office, then return at night. What a sweet deal! I know there's a lot of people who'd like to get that kind of deal. In July 2009, he was released, and for the next decade, other women say that they ended up becoming his victims and wage a legal fight uh, to get his federal non-prosecution agreement voided and hold him and others liable for the abuse. One of his accusers is Virginia Guffrey, and she claims that he abused her when she was 17. Him and Ghislaine Maxwell set her up for sexual encounters with royalty, politicians, academicians, uh, businessmen, and all kinds of rich and powerful people. Now, that was July 2009. Sometime, I don't have the exact date. Actually, there were several times after this conviction, and after Epstein returned back to his nefarious activities, the CIA director, William Burns, traveled to his island and met with Epstein, traveled to uh, hi- his townhouse in New York, and I believe also his island, and met with him on multiple occasions. Now, there is no way that the CIA, the head of the CIA, did not know about the conviction or his background. In fact, I'm pretty sure he knew why. The director claimed he was seeking financial and tax advice. Sure, you were. And what was wrong, Mr. Burns? Were there no competent lawyers and accountants who were not trafficking in children in New York or in Washington, D.C.? I mean, you could have gone down the road to Baltimore. It's only, what, about half hour, 45-minute drive. No, no, you decided you wanted to go see Epstein. My guess is because he had information that you needed or wanted on key individuals. So this takes us to November 2018. The Miami Herald revisited the Epstein case in a series of stories, and they focused on the lawyer who had negotiated the original prosecution or lack of prosecution. By this time, and that was his name was Acosta, and by this time he was the labor secretary for Donald Trump. And this sparked a lot of interest in the media. And in July 6, 2019, Epstein was arrested on federal charges of sex trafficking, and federal prosecutors in New York concluded that they were not bound by the terms of the earlier non-prosecution deal. Several days later, Acosta resigned as labor secretary because the public was outraged. Imagine that. And then that was July 6, 2019. August 10th, 2019, guards find Epstein dead in his cell at a federal jail in New York City. Investigators conclude that he killed himself, which is actually very funny because the cameras that were supposed to be on his cell, two of them, not one, two, failed at the same time. Yeah, what are the odds? I'm guessing that the odds are pretty slim. Uh, then in July of 2020, federal prosecutors Charged Ghislaine Maxwell, Epstein's longtime girlfriend, with sex crimes, saying she helped recruit the underage girls and abused many of them. December 30th, 2021, after a month-long trial, the jury convicted Maxwell on multiple charges, including sex trafficking, conspiracy, and transportation of a minor for illegal sexual activity. On In June 28th of 2022, Maxwell was sentenced to 20 years in prison. Now, Epstein had an island. He had a home in New York, and he had various other locations actually all across the world. The trial was pursued in the Southern District of New York. Why? Well, Epstein was connected, and this is where things get a little fuzzy and little sketchy. Epstein was connected to some of the wealthiest people in the world. He had thousands of hours of videos of some of these clients. Early videos of when they raided his home back in was it 2006? Showed hundreds of, if not thousands, of videotapes, CDs, discs, hard drives, and tons of documents. Uh, During the latest election cycle, the current president of the United States said that he was going to release all these documents. And I find it funny that a lot of people want to associate the current president with Jeffrey Epstein. And yes, many years ago, they were associated with one another, and they had a friendship. And then after uh, the current president discovered that Epstein was trying to traffic children at his resort, he had him removed and ended his association with him. So during this election cycle, he stated that he was going to have the documents released. Um, Now, I want to note that a lot of these documents are they're very filthy and disgusting, and some people are calling for them to be released. But I mean, there's too much of it cannot be made public. It's it's just sick and disgusting. Uh, but the client list, we can find out who was involved in what. Um, so after the president nominated his choice for Attorney General, Pam Bondi, and then she was approved, she demanded all the documents that were associated with the Epstein prosecution and investigation. She was delivered about 200 pages of documents, all of which had been released previously and showed no new additional information. Now, she did have kind of an unforced error here. By distributing copies of these documents, which everybody already knew was out there, and they created some nice looking binders and gave them to conservative influencers uh, with the understanding that this was all the documents. After this error, it was noted the, to Attorney General Pam Bondi um, that there's a lot more out there. She sent a letter to FBI Director Kash Patel demanding the remaining documents be delivered by February 28th, 8 a.m. And whistleblowers, after this letter came out, she essentially gave him 24 hours to show up, and she also demanded that an investigation be conducted and find out why those documents were not given. All of the investigative material was not given to her up front. Whistleblowers came forward and stated that many of the documents that they had were being destroyed, electronic records, and they were shredding evidence. Um, this was all evidence of prominent people. I'm going to remind you guys, okay? This is all evidence of prominent people engaging in sex acts with minors. The Southern District of New York was protecting those prominent people and maintaining leverage on them. These are business leaders. Business leaders are coerced into investing in areas that are questionable. Political leaders are coerced into passing legislation that directs government business in their favored direction. Finally, the head of the FBI was sorry, after all of this pressure, the head of the FBI forced the head of the Southern District of New York, or I'm sorry, it was the New York office of the FBI, the head of the office of the FBI in New York. They forced him to retire, and the next day, a truckload of material was sent to Attorney General Pam Bondi. She says the Department of Justice is now sorting through the evidence and deciding how to proceed. The head of the FBI New York division, uh, was James Dennehy. He had been there for quite a long time. He had his little fiefdom, and he was making sure that he protected it. Uh, I will. I'll be disappointed if he is not prosecuted. He needs to account for what happened, and he needs to answer why he allowed children to continue to be abused. If we want this to end this corruption in our communities, we need to find out who were Epstein's clients, not the people who flew on his plane. That's just a aircraft flight. That's not important. It's a question of who was engaged in violating teenagers and then made political financial decisions based on extortion. We also need to know who sat around while these crimes were occurring and did nothing to protect these children. Uh, Ladies and gentlemen, this is a key story. I know the only person I know that's actually been prosecuted and held accountable is Ghislaine Maxwell. The rest of the people that were associated with this, I I certainly hope that they're going to Attorney General Pam Bondi is going to do a lot more digging and get to the bottom of it and find out who was involved and who needs to be held to account. Like I said, I'm suggesting the head of the FBI New York field office, but I'm sure that he had a lot of other people around him helping him. I hope that you guys are doing well. I hope that you guys are paying attention to the things that are important, and that's what I'm trying to bring you every day to show you what's happening on the at an individual level or on a grander social, national, and worldwide level. Please like, share, and subscribe. I greatly appreciate it. It helps me expand this channel, and hope that your families are doing well. Hope that you guys are doing well, and you're preparing for the challenges that are unfolding before us right now. Thanks again very much, and look forward to talking to you very soon. Again, this is Jeff Rains with Foundation of Civilization. I'm out for now.